Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is another episode of my championship score predictions. So this is now week 19 of our championship score predictions, guys. So if you've not seen this series before, let me briefly explain how it all goes down. So every week I give you my championship score predictions for what I think the results will be with each individual match taking place in the championship. FIFA 17 also makes their predictions, but what I'm really interested to know is what you guys have to say. So in the description down below I'll leave all the fixtures that are taking place this weekend, and then I want you guys to go ahead and make your predictions, and then if you do manage to get any of your predictions right, I will include your comment at the start of the next video. So in terms of this week's fixtures going on in the championship, it's actually quite an interesting one actually, because all the fixtures that are taking place is actually a repeat of, I think it was week 15 score predictions we did on the channel. All of the fixtures are exactly the same, it's just the fixtures are flipped around, so the teams which have played at home on week 15 are playing away this week, so it's a bit of a weird one in that sense, if that makes sense to you guys. But in terms of the matches, we've got some pretty good ones coming up, so enough of me rambling on, we'll just get into the fixtures. So the first game we have to talk about, guys, is Aston Villa coming up against Leeds United. So I must stress that the first, I think, 2 or 3 of these games are taking place tonight on Thursday when you guys will be watching this. So make sure you go ahead and get your predictions in quite quickly for these ones. But Aston Villa coming up against Leeds, it's a difficult one to call actually, because Aston Villa under Steve Bruce have been very good at Villa Park, but the current run of form that Leeds United are currently on is hard to back against them. So I'm going to sit on the fence for this one. I'm going to say this one's going to end level as a 1-1. I think both sides will be an interesting one actually to come up against. I think it's definitely worth keeping your eye on this match, because I think it could be a very lively match, especially with how well Leeds played against Preston last time out. But FIFA's actually said that Aston Villa are going to win this one 1-0. And then on the next fixture, guys, we have Rotherham United coming up against Burton Albion. So once again, this week we actually have some pretty difficult ones to call, and this once again is quite a tricky one. Obviously Rotherham coming off the back of that victory they got against Wigan. Burton Albion lately have been putting in some decent performances, they've just not been getting the results to go with them. So, and of course we all know about Burton's away record this season not being that great, and Rotherham at home, I think that win against Wigan will have given them a bit of confidence, and they have looked pretty decent ever since Kenny Jackett left, to be fair to them. So for this one, I'm going to say it's going to end 2-2. I can see quite a few goals being scored in this one, because I think that both defences may be a little bit leaky in this one. So I'm going to say this one's going to end level as a 2-2 draw. And then FIFA has said that Rotherham are going to win this one 1-0. And then the next match we have to talk about, guys, we have Brighton who are coming up against Cardiff. So two teams coming into this in really contrasting form. I mean, Brighton at this point in time currently sat top of the championship. It'll be interesting to see if they play any differently now they are top of the championship, whether that's like an added bit of pressure, I suppose, with them being top, and with Newcastle chasing them and not them being the chasers this time. But coming up against Cardiff, surely there can only be one outcome from this. I'd be very surprised if Cardiff did get anything from this match actually, and if they do, fair play to them, but I just can't see it for this one. So I'm actually going to go ahead and back Brighton to get 2 successive 3-0 wins. I can see them putting quite a few goals past this Cardiff side, who defensively have looked pretty fragile lately. So I'm going to say this one's going to end 3-0 to Brighton, whereas FIFA has said this one's going to be another 0-0. And then going into our next matchup, guys, we have Ipswich Town coming up against Bristol City. So these is once again 3 points for either of these sides would be massive in this match, as both of them are coming into it really not on a great run of form. I mean, both of them are coming off the back of successive defeats for this one. I mean, the run that Bristol City have gone under recently has been just awful for them, considering where they were not too long ago. And it's the same story as well for Ipswich. There's a lot of discontent around Mick McCarthy. I'm actually been surprised that he's not actually gone by now, you know, with them underachieving like they have been this season. I've seen a lot of Ipswich fans who want Mick McCarthy sacked, and reasonably so. But for this match, I'm actually going to back Ipswich for the victory. I just feel like every probably 2 or 3 weeks, Mick McCarthy gets that one result which just keeps him in the job for a little bit longer, and I do get the feeling that this could be one of those matches. So I think it will be a tight one and quite a cagey affair. I don't think either of the sides will be willing to commit too many men forward in risk of losing this one really, but I'm going to say that Ipswich are just going to scrape this one with a 1-0 victory. However, FIFA has disagreed with me for that. FIFA has said that Bristol City are going to win this one 1-0. And then our next matchup, guys, we have Newcastle United coming up against Nottingham Forest. So I'm sure all of you guys will remember the last time that these two teams came up against each other. It was a game filled with drama where Newcastle ended the game with 9 players. Forest missed 2 penalties in that one, I think, as well. So if we get a game anything like that one, it will be a very interesting one for the neutral to watch this one indeed. And of course, Newcastle currently being sat second in the Championship, coming off the back of a defeat as well. It'll be very interesting to see how Rafa Benitez responds to that, and whether he actually does go with 2 up front for this match, which will be an interesting one to say the least. But of course, Nottingham Forest as well, not in the best run of form. So for this one, I am going to fancy Newcastle to bounce back from it. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 home win for Newcastle in this match, whereas FIFA has said this one is going to be a 0-0. And then going into our next match, guys, we have Reading coming up against Fulham. So it wasn't too long ago where Fulham absolutely humiliated Reading. So if they can do the same thing again, they really will be knocking on the door for the playoffs, and that would really hurt Reading's promotion push, really, with them actually pushing on the door for the top 2 this season. But it's a really difficult one to call because both of these sides are coming into this game on really good form. I mean, Reading at home this season have been absolutely exceptional, and Fulham's goal-scoring record of late, once again, has been an absolutely fantastic thing for them. So for this one, I'm going to say it is going to end level as a 2-2 draw. I mean, if Fulham were able to get another 5-0 win over Reading, that would be absolutely mad. But I think Reading will be a bit more aware of Fulham in this match, and I know they had a couple of suspensions for that game as well. So I'm going to say that Fulham, yeah, I'm going to say a 2-2 draw for this match. I think this one is going to be one that ends level. However, FIFA 17 has said that Reading are going to come away with a 1-0 victory. And then for our next matchup, guys, we have Huddersfield Town coming up against Blackburn Rovers. So once again, Blackburn Rovers having the manager Owen Coyle, who has been under increasing pressure week in, week out. The pressure just seems to be mounting up on him, and with Blackburn currently sat in the relegation zone, it's not looking very pretty for them, and especially an away trip to Huddersfield really isn't what you need at this point in time. Of course, Huddersfield on a fantastic run of form recently. They're currently sat 4th in the Championship, and it's been one of those things with Huddersfield that where they've not really been the most threatening going forward this season. I mean, I don't think they're yet to score more than 2 goals in the game, so for that reason, I am going to back Huddersfield for the win, but I do see this one actually being quite a tight one, so I'm going to say Huddersfield are going to win this one by 2-1. I think they've had a lot of 2-1 victories this season, Huddersfield, and I just fancy this to be one of them, but FIFA said that this one is going to be a 0-0 draw. And then going into our next match, guys, we have Barnsley coming up against Birmingham. So this is a difficult one once again. I mean, Zola is yet to get any points with Birmingham, albeit he has had quite a tough fixture run, and to be honest, it doesn't get much easier for Zola in this match because the current form which Barnsley are under, I just can't really back Birmingham for it because Barnsley have been looking absolutely fantastic lately, especially going forward as well. Just everything seems to be clicking with Barnsley at this point in time in this season, and it's quite refreshing really to see a team coming up from League One who's doing just as well as Barnsley are this season. They perhaps maybe one of the dark horses this season, but for this game I'm going to back Barnsley for yet again another victory in this one. And Birmingham have slipped under Zola quite a few close defeats, and I actually see this one being following that same pattern. So I'm going to say that Barnsley are going to win this one by 2-1 in this game. I see it being a quite close one, but I do think Barnsley will come out on top, whereas FIFA has said this one's going to be another 0-0. And then into our next match, guys, we have Derby County coming up against Wigan Athletic. So going into this match, once again, it should be one of those games which in the Championship really is a sure thing. I mean, with the current form that Derby are under, going up against this team which Wigan are under, it should be a win for Derby, I mean, no doubt about that. But with the way in how unpredictable the Championship is, I wouldn't put it past Wigan to go out and beat Derby in this one. But saying that, I'm not going to give back that. I'm going to say, just with how impressive Derby have looked recently, albeit they weren't at their best last week against Birmingham, I am going to back Derby for a 2-0 victory in this match. I just feel like I can't see Wigan getting anything from this game. I'd be very surprised and quite impressed if they actually did manage to do that. But I'm going to say this one's going to end at 2-0 to Derby County, whereas FIFA said another 0-0. And then going into our next match, guys, we have my club, Preston North End, who are coming up against Sheffield Wednesday. So, of course, Sheffield Wednesday coming off the back of that fantastic performance and result they got away to Newcastle United, coming up against Preston, who aren't going into this in the best mindset, I suppose, obviously. Jermaine Beckford will be suspended for this match, and we're coming off the back of that 4-1 defeat we suffered to Leeds. So, going into this game, I actually see it being quite a close one, but I do think Sheffield Wednesday will edge it. I don't really think that Sheffield Wednesday have blown too many teams out of the water this season, so I don't really see it being a thrashing, anything like that. But as much as it pains me to do it, I am going to say this one's going to end 2-1 to Sheffield Wednesday. I think if they carry over what they showed in that Newcastle match to this game, it will be an incredibly tough one for Preston. However, I am going to say that Forestieri is going to get a red card because in his last 2 meetups with Preston, he's got a red card. So I'm going to back it once again. I'm going to say Forestieri is going to get sent off in this game because it just seems to be a sure thing against Preston. But FIFA's actually said that this one is going to end as a 1-1 draw, and my, would I take that. Then going into our next match, guys, we have Wolves who are coming up against Queen Queen's Park Rangers. So probably at this point in time, QPR are under the worst run of form in the Championship at this moment. I mean, there's a couple of teams on a bad run, but none more so than QPR, who have just been awful lately. Ian Holloway currently only claiming 1 win since he has come into the job, and can I see them picking up anything against this Wolves side who looked decent last time out against Bristol City? Honestly, no, I just can't see them getting anything from this game. So I'm going to say that this one is going to finish 3-1 to Wolves. I just think at the moment that QPR side just looks so disorientated. I really can't see anything past a Wolves victory for this one. So I'm going to say 3-1 to Wolves, whereas FIFA has said a 2-1 Wolves victory. And then for our last matchup, guys, taking place, we have the game between Brentford and Norwich. So once again, it wasn't too long ago since Norwich actually battered Brentford by 5-0, but since then their season didn't really get back on track. I mean, that was the game which quite a few people may have thought would have been the catalyst for Norwich to go ahead and bounce back up the table. That was not the case. I mean, Brentford were awful in that game, and since then both of these sides haven't really been on the best run of form. I mean, both of them have been underachieving so far this season, so it's a difficult one to call. I was going to go for a draw with this one, but I am actually going to back a Norwich victory for this match. I don't know why, I've just got that gut feeling that Norwich may pull something out the bag for this one, and it might buy Alex Neil, the Norwich manager, a little bit more time after this one. So I'm actually going to say that this one is going to end 2-1 to Norwich. I see this one being quite a cagey affair, and I'm interested to see what the outcome of this game will actually be. And FIFA has actually agreed with me for this one, so both myself and FIFA are backing a 2-1 victory for Norwich in that match. So there you have it, guys. That will wrap it up for this week's Week 19 score predictions that are taking place in the Championship, guys. So like I said at the start of the video, make sure you leave a comment in the comments down below as to what your score predictions are for this week's upcoming fixtures, guys. I will be very interested to know. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So thank you so much for watching. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. Your support on all my videos lately has been remarkable. It's honestly been insane lately, so I honestly can't say thank you enough. But apart from that, make sure you also go ahead and check out all the other links in the description down below. Make sure you follow me on Twitter as well. I always tweet before I upload the video, therefore I'll never miss a video ever again, guys. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.